Good morning, everyone. We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events and updates. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand. When Julia or I call on you, come up to the podium or unmute yourself and then speak. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for the encouragement and participation in the Thanksgiving baskets. It went really well. If you want any information about it, you can find it in the Cambria CA online under, I don't know what, services or whatever, and also on the UUCC newsletter. There's pictures and a blurb. So thank you. We'll do it again next year.
Morning. This is just a reminder that on Christmas Eve, we're allowed to say that, right? December 24th, we're going to have an informal holiday service. Okay, a holiday celebration gathering, a family gathering. We'll have a gathering, and it's going to be from 6 to 8. Normally, we have a Christmas Eve service from 7 to 8. This is 6 to 8 right here. We'll just share food and stories and music, and it's just a nice way to be together during the middle of all the holidays. So we'll be reminded again next Sunday.
The Cambria Community Chorale has its second concert today. Last week we had a really great response from the audience. So 2 o'clock at Presbyterian Church. Tickets at the door.
Get there early.
Next Saturday at 1 p.m. at Raw Curry Yoga, which is up above Medusa's in the middle of town there. It's a yoga studio. Vivian Curry and I will be leading a sound-centered chakra meditation, and that goes from 1 until 3. And it's nice, you lay down and we play bowls and chant, and everybody participates a little bit. Anyway, it's our second annual solstice celebration there. We've been doing it for a year, 8 times over the year. Anyway, everyone is welcome to attend. It's 25 for new people and 20 for frequent flyers. Well, we have a few.
Well, good morning, all you party animals. Janet and I are going to host a Christmas potluck, so details will be forthcoming, but you're all invited, and it'll be at my house. So Janet Cooper, and I will be hosting it at my house on Christmas Day. Thank you.
I'm not sure if any of you are aware, it's New President's Day today, and it's Don Howell's birthday. And in celebration, we're going to be serving cupcakes and deviled eggs, everyone's favorite combination.
Julia, are there any announcements?
Yes, Andy has an announcement. Andy, please unmute yourself and announce.
Hi, everybody. I'm coming to you from Seattle right now. The men's group meets tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the sanctuary. As usual, on the third Monday of the month. I'll be in transit to New York, so I can't host the Zoom side of it. Maybe one of the others can. I'll send out a link for those of you who want to join by Zoom. Otherwise, it'll be at the sanctuary 10 a.m. tomorrow. Have a great day.
As we begin this holiday season, we celebrate the concept of light in many of its manifestations. The first is the light of Hanukkah, which begins this evening, followed by the light of the winter solstice, which takes place next Sunday, and finally, the light of Christmas on December 25th. In her book, Animal Joy, a book of laughter and resuscitation, Noir al-Sadir wrote, "We stay connected by creating cracks in the wall of darkness around us." And Leonard Cohen's more familiar, "There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." Don will light the chalice here in the sanctuary. Those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lit the flame within us and our community. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourself muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing as big and as loud as you like. Make this a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, "Let There Be Light." Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We're glad you joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and the Chumash indigenous people historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As a Unitarian Universalist, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders, to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU 7 principles and 6 values: equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, justice, and interdependence, with love at the center. Today's service centers around the third principle. We affirm and promote the acceptance of one another and encourage spiritual growth in our congregations. My name is Margaret Biggs, and I'm your worship associate for this morning's service. We extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you joined us this morning. If you wish, please introduce yourself or your guest.
Shane, this is my guest, Bruno, my friend Bruno, and his wife Andrea.
Okay. If you're not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out what's happening, the e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. To see this or any of our past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website. So again, good morning and welcome to everybody. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another. Now is the time for sharing your heartfelt joys and concerns with this, your spiritual community. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. Steve?
Good morning, everyone. Jan asked me to read this first reading this morning. It was written by Rabbi Danny Maseng. It is a response to our president calling Jews, quote, lacking knowledge and being disloyal, unquote, if they vote Democratic. Since you called me out as a Jew, Mr. President, I'd like to respond to you personally, even though I have no illusions you will read this. As a Jew, I am commanded to love the stranger who dwells with us, no less than 36 times in the Bible that you claim to treasure. I am commanded to have one law for both the stranger and the citizen, no exceptions. As a Jew, I am commanded to pay my employees on time, including undocumented workers at casinos, construction sites, and golf courses. I am commanded to repay bank loans and investors. I am commanded to guard my tongue and speak no evil. As a Jew, I take great offense in my president attacking Denmark, a country that gallantly saved its Jews from the Nazis while most of Europe fell asleep. As a Jew, Mr. President, I take offense at you calling me disloyal to America and Israel because I oppose your inept, ghoulish, deceitful, inhumane farce of a leadership. As a Jew who has friends and family who are proud Republican members who I loved and cherish, I am ashamed of what you have done to the Republican Party and to conservative ideals, even if I do not share all of those ideals. As a Jew whose relatives fought heroically at the Battle of the Bulge for our country and for the salvation of Europe, I am ashamed by the mockery you visit upon their sacrifices. I am outraged by your embrace of neo-Nazis and racists in America. As a Jew, I am disgraced by your fawning adoration of the worst dictators of our century. You violate both Christian, Jewish, and humanitarian values. As a well-informed Jew who loves and cares deeply for Israel and America, I condemn you and call you out for the divisive person you are. May my soul not enter your council, and let me not join your assembly.
Let us join in a time of meditation, of prayer, and of silence. Let us seek the quiet and the calm, laying aside our struggles. And in this silence, may there be a reverence in our hearts, a thankfulness within our spirit, and a deepened understanding of the meaning of our lives. Let us enter the stillness. May today there be peace within. May you trust your highest power that you are exactly where you're meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith. May you use the gifts that you've received and pass on the love that has been given to you. Let this presence settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing and dance. It is there for each and every one of us. Amen. The second reading is a poem by Cam McGlynn, a poem, in part, about the sun, our greatest source of physical light. My favorite boss liked to remind me that we don't know what we don't know. Sure, there are some things that we don't know, like the best treatment for pancreatic cancer, how long the next government shutdown will last, or why our lunchroom sells moldy cakes. Those are all knowable unknowns, the kind of subjects you can ask questions about. the kind of questions meaty enough to chew on for decades. Have you ever realized how easy it is to not know something? If I asked if you knew your mother's birthday, you would answer yes, after an uncomfortable pause. If I asked if you knew my mother's birthday, you would quickly answer no. We can realize what is unknown to us faster than realize what is known. Your mind doesn't have to shuffle through the library catalog of your memory to summon up a non-answer. But the unknowable unknowns are invisible, noiseless, and strange. A gap in your teeth that even your tongue can't detect. A language made with tones you can't hear. A hole filled with other holes. In 1908, Christian Birkeland theorized that auroras were created when the sun's ejected electrons disturbed the Earth's magnetic field. No one believed him about the sun. Surely it was gas or dust or the Earth's own unruly shrugs that cause those flickering colors. When he invented an electromagnetic cannon, it exploded in flames in front of its investors. When he used that cannon to create the first nitrogen fertilizer, his partner took credit and iced him out of the company. For all the things Birkeland knew, he couldn't have known that one day, long after his aurora theories were proven correct, we would debate not the fact of the sun causing auroras, but the fact of who was causing the sun to cause the auroras. I still don't know who they are, the ones poking holes in the sun. But I do know that my dental hygienist believes that the reason it didn't rain this summer was because of the military satellites controlled at the Army base next door. It's unclear if she thinks the mysterious they were doing so intentionally with their chemtrails and space lasers or accidentally with their overpaid incompetence. I didn't tell her I worked there and was neither overpaid nor trained in weather control. I didn't tell her there really was a building called the Cloud Study Chamber, a rusty sphere where they used to study not clouds, but biological warfare in the 40s. I didn't tell her I researched cancer, not weather. She'd be sure we already had a cure, but we're keeping it from her. No, I didn't tell her, not because of fear, but because she had her fingers in my mouth. Plato thought that learning was just remembering what our souls already knew, but forgot. And when will I know? I don't know it. The anthem today is Be a Light by Thomas Rhett, Josh Miller, Josh Thompson, and Matthew Dragstrom, and will be sung by Mary Schwalbe. Very good. I've only known her for how many years? and Jan Musarra.
In a time full of doubt, believe listen. 'Cause life is but a breeze, better live it in a place that needs a change, make a difference. In a world full of hate, be alive. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Oh, don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be alive. La, 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 la. In a race that you can't win, slow it down. You only get one go around, and the finish line is 6 feet in the ground. In a race you can't win, slow it down. In a world full of hate, be alive. Be alive. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Make it right. Oh, don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be alive. Yeah, it's hard to live in color when you just see black and white. In a world full of hate, be alive.
Today's talk is titled It's All About the Light, to be delivered by Jan Musarra. Jan Musarra, whom we also know as Jan Callner and Jan Calderwood, does not have an identity problem. Rather, she has these three names because of the interesting and exciting life or lives she has lived. She not only has three names, she has more than dabbled in at least that many religions, starting with Catholic, then lapsed Catholic, Jewish, Episcopal, and finally Unitarian Universalist. She believes this one will be her keeper and has been a member here at UUCC for 13 years or so. Jan?
Ooh, I'm tall. Thank you, Margot, and thank you for the beautiful reading of that poem, and thank you, Steve, for the intense reading. I'll be reading a sermon today for the first part of my talk by Rabbi Edward Feinstein. When I approached Rabbi Feinstein for his permission to use his words, he said, "I'd be honored, and you'll be in Cambria when you do. What a beautiful place to share community." Rabbi Feinstein is a senior rabbi of Valley Beth Shalom in Encino, California, and is an instructor in the Ziegler Rabbinical School of American Jewish University and the Wexner Heritage Program. He's the author of many books and the father of Michael Feinstein, the popular American singer and pianist, a fact I did not know when I approached the rabbi about using his piece. He titled it Hanukkah Guilt, A Personal Confession by Rabbi Edward Feinstein. We all have this little thing going on today. My son wanted to sit on Santa's lap. You can't, I replied. Why not? He persisted. How can you? I thought to myself. Your mother is a rabbi, your father is a rabbi. How would it look? And so began our explanation. It isn't our holiday. Christmas and Hanukkah are different. Yes, they both happen at the same time. Yes, they both have lights and presents, but they are different. And Christmas with Santa and the lights on the house and the lovely tree, even It's a Wonderful Life, it just isn't ours. So go pet the reindeer and let's go home, okay? Okay, he agreed. Good kid. But in my mind, I know the case isn't so clear. After all our efforts to separate Hanukkah and Christmas, pushing back against the tide of assimilation, after our staunch denials and disavowals, our constant declarations that these are completely different, unrelated, and distinct holidays, despite their chronological proximity, I confess a secret. Any student of world religion knows that it's no accident that both holidays are celebrated at this time of year. It's no mere coincidence that both are associated with the lighting of lights, stringing lights on trees, around homes, or placing lights in windows, because in fact, Christmas and Hanukkah are related through a common ancestor deep in our past. Before there was a Christmas, before there was a Hanukkah, there was another festival at this time of year, at the time of the winter solstice, when the days reach their shortest duration and the nights their longest. Our prehistoric ancestors celebrated a festival. Fearful that the day would continue to dissolve into night, they exercised rites of sympathetic magic to bring the day back. They lit bonfires, lights on earth offered up in hopes of rekindling the lights in the sky. Fearful of the night demons that would revel on the longest night of the year, they huddled around blazing hearths. In the long and fearsome darkness of the solstice, they sought the protection of communal lights, and they celebrated the victory of that little light against the massive darkness. The return of day was brought on by the lighting of lights. It was an attractive symbol for our Maccabean and rabbinic ancestors, no longer afraid of physical darkness. They perceived in the solstice darkness a symbol of a spiritual darkness, all the forces of the world aligned to extinguish the light of Torah. Antiochus's Hellenism was all-encompassing. Everyone was turning to Greek culture, except a small band of country priests led by Mattathias and his sons. The story of the small cruse of oil that burned 8 days is not a fairy tale, nor a distraction from the Maccabees' accomplishments. It's a parable, a symbol. It was a miracle that a small bit of light dispelled a great deal of darkness. With only one family in all the world committed to the light of Torah, all the darkness of Hellenism was repelled and the nation redeemed. So we seized the symbols of the ancient pagan festival, but changed the meanings. The lights in our windows this Hanukkah are meant not to chase away solstice darkness, but to reaffirm our commitment to the light of Torah in a world of spiritual darkness. Ironically, the same thought struck our Christian cousins. For them, it was the darkness of sin that encompassed the world, the human inability to act with pure conscience and selflessness, and only God's true grace through the coming of the Christ could save humankind. Christ entered the world, and the darkness of sin was dispelled by his light. Our Christian cousins also seized upon the solstice festival as a symbol. They celebrated the joyful coming of light into a darkened world, the coming of hope into a world of despair, the promise of day in a world of night, the miraculous birth of the Christ child. And they used the same ancient pagan symbols, lights in their windows, lights in their hearths. The lights of Hanukkah symbolize the constant rebirth of Torah, even amidst our most pressing darkness. The lights of Christmas symbolize the redeeming arrival of Christ into a world blinded by the oppressive darkness of sin. Each represents God's great act of love, what Jews call rahamim and Christians call grace. But they're different kinds of light and different kinds of love. An entire world of thinking separates them. How does the miracle of Hanukkah begin? Any Sunday school child knows this. When Mattathias takes the sword to the altar of Zeus and to the Jews worshiping there, rabbis rallies an army of Judean farmers and peasants and sets off to liberate the defiled Temple of Jerusalem. Only then does the miracle take place. The victory over the Greek Syrians, the rededication of the temple, and finally, the miraculous cruse of oil. Only after human beings have acted, placed their lives on the line, entered the fray of history and its ambivalence, only then does the miracle occur. The lesson is clear. Don't wait for redemption. This is a bit of classic Jewish activism. Grace, rahamim, is available only to those prepared to act despite our own impurities, our own ambivalence, and all the ambiguities of the world of action. Act, and God will respond. The light of Hanukkah indeed represents God's presence in the world, but it is a light kindled and protected by human action. And the light of Christmas? It too represents a loving presence, but a presence human beings have no part in calling up. On the contrary, according to the Christmas story, the light of Christ enters the world precisely because beings have lost their capacity to move toward redemption. So thoroughly blinded by sin, only a God can help humanity. The light of Christmas is the symbol of grace, but also the symbol of the ultimate failure of all human action. We must choose which lights to light this holiday. It's not a choice among factual accounts of the world. Even those of us totally committed to Judaism and to Jewish activism must admit that a peek at almost any morning newspaper might sway us to the Christian assertion that humanity is mired in sin and unable to redeem itself. Neither conception is empirically true or false. Each reflects an orientation, an approach to the world and our role in it, a choice among core values. We choose which lights to kindle. It's more than keeping my kid off Santa's knee. At stake is our commitment to redemption and how it might happen. At stake is what we are meant to do for its sake. At stake is our fundamental perception of the human ability to perfect the world. At stake is our conception of the world and our role in its perfection. The question, which lights to kindle, really asks us, what world do we choose to live in? Which role in that world do you embrace? Or maybe my mom had it right all along. We came to her as kids and demanded a tree, just like all the other kids in the neighborhood. She agreed, okay, you can have your tree. We were shocked. With all the trimmings? Yup, she replied, with all the trimmings. Tinsel, lights, stars, ornaments, angels, everything. In July. So ends Rabbi Feinstein's short epistle. He used the word light or some form of it over 30 times. Through the years, we have created phrases, axioms that reflect the word light. You light up my life, the light at the end of the tunnel, bring to light, a source of light, a light in the darkness, inner light, enlightenment. In the Bible, John 1:5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Probably, if I asked each one of you what the word light means, we'd come up with a dozen different definitions. As an aside, I think it's interesting that when I'm teaching voice lessons, which is what I do and have been doing for 40-some years, I refer to the letter L as either light or evil. When we say light, we use the tip of our tongue. Try it. La 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 light, la 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 light. When we say the word evil, the back of the tongue curls and makes a rather ugly, unsingable sound. Evil. Oh. Just a little bit of trivia from my perspective. But why do we strive to exist in a state of light and not that of darkness? Why does the beloved hymn, Amazing Grace, have the lyric, was blind, but now I see? It might just as well have said, it was dark, but now it's light. I remember in middle school, we were asked to write a paper on our philosophies of life. That sounds really crazy from an adult perspective, like what on earth could middle schoolers come up with? But it wasn't a crazy exercise. It was this one teacher challenging us to start thinking about something other than what party we might be going to that weekend or about who had said something bad about our best friend. Perhaps that was the beginning of a journey toward a light of some sort for the lucky ones who had that teacher. I say of some sort because what is the light we talk about? Is it a divine presence? Is it, as in Buddhism, a final blessed state marked by the absence of desire and suffering? Poetically, light is used as a symbol for knowledge, hope, spirituality. As I worked on this talk, I came to believe that my definition of light is the ability to understand, akin to a state of acceptance of that which is acceptable and rejection of that which is evil. More concisely, to understand what to accept and what to reject. A more important revelation for me was what seemed at first a novel one. That is, be the light. While we can see the light, we can look for the light, bring to light, give the green light, have a light bulb moment, be out like a light. The ultimate accomplishment is to be the light. I'm quite sure I'm not the first one to think this, but instead of searching for the light at the end of the tunnel, we could be the light at the end of the tunnel. How do we do that? I don't know. I don't think there's a handbook for that. There are some people who have written about it, like Marianne Williamson, who wrote in her book, A Return to Love. As we let our own lights shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. Anne Lamott, one of my favorite philosopher writers, in her essay, Joyce to the World, relates a visit to San Quentin, where she was to speak to the incarcerated people about forming a writers' group. She brought along a colleague storyteller for moral support. Lamott gave her usual spiel about pay attention, take notes, give yourself short assignments, let yourself write shitty first drafts, ask people for help. They listened dutifully. Then she introduced her colleague and friend, Neshama, with concern that the prisoners wouldn't get her. Neshama was an intense grandmother, large, with fuzzy gray hair and a loud plaid flannel dress. My Bible. I had extremely low expectations. I hoped a few prisoners might form a guild, like the one to which Neshama belongs. I hoped they wouldn't hurt her, or overcome her, or try to make her marry them. Neshama walked to the mic and told her first story, her version of a folk tale. It was about a man with no luck who comes upon safety, wealth, and a beautiful woman, but is too busy looking for fancier luck somewhere else to even notice her. Neshama painted the story with her hands, leaning into the crowd and drawing back, hopeful or aghast at the unlucky man's journey, smiling gleefully at the story's close. And the place went nuts. She stole the show right out from under me like a rock star, while I looked as prim and mainstream as Laura Bush. Here they had thought Neshama was going to teach them a lesson, and she had instead sung them a song. Their faces lit up with surprise. She was shining on them, and they felt her shining on them, and so they shone back at her. The definition of light needs to be clear. It involves compassion, understanding, kindness. In The Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare says, "How far that little candle throws its beams, so shines a good deed in a weary world." In a short while, I'll be playing You Are the Light of the World for the offering. It's from Stephen Schwartz's Godspell. Some of the lyrics are, "You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. But if that light's under a bushel, it's lost something kind of crucial. You gotta stay bright to be the light of the world. So let your light so shine before men. Let your light so shine, so that they might know some kindness again. We all need help to feel fine." Dun, 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 dun. Okay. But the tallest candlestick ain't much good without a wick. You gotta live right to be the light of the world. As we enter this winter season of short days and long nights, we'll soon celebrate the winter solstice with bonfires, Christmas with starry and twinkling lights, and Hanukkah with candles. Starting tonight, the first night of Hanukkah, and for 7 more consecutive nights, a candle will be placed in the menorah. I would have to read The Merchant of Venice again, but it's possible that when Shakespeare wrote "How far that little candle throws his beams," he referenced a candle in a menorah, the menorah that is a symbol of the lights of Hanukkah. I won't assume that you all know the story of this holiday, and Rabbi Feinstein's explanation was deeper than most. So the simple story is that over 2,000 years ago, a small band of Jews, led by Judah the Maccabee, fought to reclaim their temple in Jerusalem from Syrian Greek rulers who had defiled it and banned Jewish practice. After miraculously rededicating the temple, they found only 1 day's supply of oil. That 1 day supply burned for 8 days. The word Hanukkah means dedication and celebrates this victory, religious freedom, and the miracle of light. There's that word again. Excuse me for a moment. This menorah is a Hanukkah candelabra. It belongs to me, and I've had it since 1969. The original menorahs from the 12th or 13th century BCE were 7-branched and were widely interpreted to represent universal enlightenment, or the 7 days of creation, all guided by the divine light of the center branch. The Hanukkah menorah has 9 candle holders. The shamash candle in the middle is used to light the others, 1 for every night of Hanukkah. I've been told it's all right to light this menorah early today for demonstration purposes. There are usually 3 prayers recited, but I only know the first one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlek ner shel Hanukkah. Hag Urim Sameach. Happy Hanukkah.
The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you're viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. And thank you. Our thanks for all the gifts given and received for the work of this community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, Pass on the Light, by Cliff Harden.
See one tiny spark, still small and bright, with handcuffs around to shield its light. A single flame, born of desire, faces turned toward its glow. Pass on the light, pass on the light, within these walls, steady and strong. Pass on the light, pass on the light, from night to dawn, carry it on. The circle of light grows as it passed, from young hands to old and back again, sharing this wonder, wisdom of age, spreading love as it goes. Pass on the light, pass on the light, within these walls, steady and strong. Pass on the light, pass on the light, from hand to hand, carry it on. And still it shines on, year unto year, from one tiny star to beacon clear, each generation lighting a way forward bright through the night. Pass on the light, pass on the light, within these walls, steady and strong. Pass on the light, pass on the light, from heart to heart, carry it on. Carry it on.
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish the flame of this chalice, and we know that the light of truth and love and the warmth of this community go with us until we meet again. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. So we're going to form a circle today, but we've decided not to hold hands for health concerns.
As Rabbi Feinstein said, only after human beings have acted, placed their lives on the line, entered the fray of history and its ambivalence, only then does a miracle occur. And we could use one. Only, he didn't say that. Only then do we have a chance at truly seeing the light, a chance at truly being the light. Don't wait. Go in peace. Amen.